Hi guys, Marley Mac here. In this video we take a look at Clean Bandit's Rockabye featuring Anne-Marie and Sean Paul inside Ableton Live. So there you have it, guys. That's my version of the track as a remake. I'm going to make the project file available, so check the link in the description if you'd like to use this inside your own productions. All the sounds, all the presets, all the samples will be included with that project file, so you can use them as well as learn from the file, from the project itself, to see how I've actually put things together in great detail. But for now, what I'll do is I'll go through some of the elements in the track and just show you some of the processing that I've got going on and some of the instruments as well. So the first thing that I've got here is my standard drum rack that I use in my productions, and I've got some of the sounds being processed inside here. For example, with the clap, I've got a reverb on there as well as an EQ to shape the sound. Moving on, we've got the fills section here. I've got 3 separate sampled sounds inside simpler devices in Ableton. So I've got a snare, a timbale sound, and a tom. And these are playing various elements of the actual fills. So I'll just play this first bit. So that roll that you just heard there would have been made up of the timbale and the snare. And on those tracks I've got some EQ and some reverb. The third track I've got that tom sound that you hear just before the hook comes in. So that so that's a pitched instrument inside Simpler. So I used various notes to actually create that. Well, actually mainly one note, and then the last one kind of had a dip on it to give you kind of like to give you that vibe that the original track has. The next thing we can look at here are some crashes. These are just straightforward samples that I've put on an audio track, so there's no instrument playing these back. All I've done is adjusted the start point of the samples to get the part that I want to use, and I've got some processing in terms of the sends here. I've got some reverb and some delay as a send effect. Now moving on, we've got the bass sound, which is made up of a tension device here, and it's an analog saw bass, which has its own processing. It's a rack inside Ableton as a preset that I'm using, and I have some compression going on and some EQ here as well. You have different patterns being played throughout different parts of the song. So for the most part, the first bass sound would sound something like this. And then I've got these colored slightly different. When it gets to this part of the hook, the pattern actually changes to this. Apart from that, we've got some melodic sounds in this section here. This is a stack of 2 instruments. I've got an operator device here, as well as another instrument here as well. I'm just creating different parts to that sound. One is a bit plucky, and the other is a bit softer, and it's got more of a tail end on it, so they combine to give you that sound there. I've got a steel drum sample, which is inside a simpler, and that's just playing the main melody at various parts. Then one very important part of the track is the strings. This is what introduces the song initially. I'll just unsolo these so we can actually hear those strings. These are sampled string sounds that I've placed inside a simpler for the most part, and I've also got one that is an actual synthesizer. So this is another instance of tension here, along with the sampled strings stacked to give you that whole full sound. So they're playing different notes, obviously, to harmonize and to give you that effect of a full, well, not a full orchestra, but just give you a fuller sound to give you the effect of the original song. And I've got another pattern here. So that plays that part there. I've got a pad that's just following with some foundation notes, if you will. You can barely hear it. It's just there subtly supporting the strings. So that's that. And we've got, at the start, we've got that staccato kind of sound playing the melodic parts there. And this is another instance of, I think it's the tension. Was it tension? This is operator here in this case. Nothing too crazy or fancy. And we've just got the standard melody. And this melodic sound here is used throughout the song to create that you know, that main groove that you've got inside the track. I've got some processing here going on, which is mainly EQ and an auto filter, which I've automated at some points. Maybe not on this track, but I've automated it in several parts, several other tracks as well. Actually, I think it's in this one. So yes, there we go. So we've got the sound auto filtered here. Then it drops low here and gradually rises. And that gives you kind of a build up with the strings on top of it. There you go. So apart from that, we've got some keys. And I've just got a layering of, it's the same keys sound that I've got here, but it's just following the melody, something like this. Which brings me to the vocal samples. Now, I don't know what sample they used in the original. The original track had a sample that had a certain timbre about it. Now, what I've done to actually get a similar kind of sound or something that can pass as what was in the original is I've actually had to record the sample myself. So I recorded myself several times. If you look at this instrument here, you can see different parts of the waveform here. This is so many times where I've recorded myself, and then I went through and isolated just a small portion of it, which sounded like it was good enough to be used. It was mainly experimentation, but I, in the end, just used that slither right there to actually get this sampled sound. If I solo it. So it's actually been pitched and warped on the Complex Pro option here in Ableton. And it's been adjusted in terms of the formants to give the type of sound that is similar to the original. I've got some EQ as well to shape it. I've got some distortion, compression, and a delay right there on the end of it. So this is what you get with it combined with the other sounds, or some of the other sounds anyway. So pretty much that's it. That's the track. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you've gotten an insight into how something like this is made. Again, you can go ahead and check the links in the description for any resources, including this project file that you can go ahead and dig deeper into and learn from, as well as save the sounds for future use in your productions, and you'll have exactly these sounds that you can draw on to be creative with. Thanks for watching. This is Marlon. Until next time, take care. Peace.